Massive trade rumors surrounding the New Jersey Devils as GM Tom Fitzgerald has been roaming around the Scott Laughton trade market, and in part because Erik Haula has not produced up to what is necessary for this team. We're going to break it all down, what a Scott Laughton trade would look like, and exactly how bad is the Devils' current center situation. I'm Ryan the Goose Gosiker, your host here on Devils Digest. But before we get into all of it, I want to give you a chance to subscribe here to Devils Digest. Be one of our first subscribers. So hit that subscribe button and we'll get right into the show. Well, Devils fans, as you know, March 7th, the trade deadline, something Tom Fitzgerald must have taken a page out of my book, being the king of procrastination, kind of waiting until we get down to this March 7th deadline. And one of the problems I have with that is you don't give yourself a lot of time, right? The regular season is going to end the middle of April. You give yourself a month, maybe 6 weeks, maybe, and depending on physicals and all that kind of stuff. So the Devils are in a very precarious situation waiting until March 7th to start making moves. But certainly the rumors are flying, and one of them happens to be Scott Laughton, the center from Philadelphia. Now, the rumor about the Devils being interested in Laughton came from this tweet right here saying that two new teams had emerged in his trade market, one of them being the Devils, one of them being the Senators. As you can see, he has a plethora of other suitors potentially for him. But the Devils now being one of them, they are kind of floating around making phone calls. If you ever watch Moneyball with Brad Pitt, you kind of get the sense that that's kind of what Tom Fitzgerald's doing. He's trying to call guys, trying to pit guys against each other, right? So that's just the kind of thing that's going on. The asking price for Scott Laughton currently is being rumored at a first-round pick. Now, I'm here to tell you that is something the New Jersey Devils cannot do. Okay, they need, if you're going to spend that first round pick, which I don't necessarily agree with, okay, and you can get into draft picks and what they mean and all that kind of stuff, but I would not trade a first round pick unless you're getting a winger that goes with Jack Hughes, right? That's been one of the three major things that the Devils need is a winger with Jack Hughes, then it's a bottom six scorer / center, and then it's maybe a defensive help, but I don't even think we'd go that far. Okay, the Devils need a winger to go with Jack Hughes. That is the only position I am spending a first-round draft pick on. I'm just not doing it. However, why they need to look into Scott Laughton, even though the asking price seems to be way too much, is because of the poor play that they're currently getting out of Erik Haula and Justin Dowling. This is just, once you get past Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes, it is like staring up at the Empire State Building. That's the difference in play right now between those two and these two in Haula and Dowling. So let's take a look at Haula's stats on the season. By the way, it's not listed here, but fun fact, the guy hasn't scored a point since Thanksgiving. Okay? Thanksgiving. It was so long ago. Right? You're looking at 3 months without a point. All right? What does he got to do? What does Erik Haula have to do to get a point here? Well, number one, he's got to play better. Okay, that's number one. But the other thing is his partner in crime, the guy behind him, ain't doing much better either, right? I mean, you see the time on the ice, man. He can't even eat up ice time. And I know you're not supposed to necessarily as a fourth liner, but come on, man. We need something better than this. 2 goals, 3 assists. It's just not good enough. The Devils are not getting enough production from the bottom of this lineup in order to say, hey, they should be completely out on Scott Laughton. They should be interested in Scott Laughton as he has played well throughout his career. And you can see he's racked up a ton of games. I believe he's around 30. Okay, so we're not talking about an old guy. He doesn't eat up the salary cap either. He's under $1 million per season. So at least this year he's under $1 million. The Devils need to kick the tires on this and at least see if they can get the asking price down in order to get Laughton, because the production that they are getting currently is not good enough. It is not good enough. I don't think right now, as currently constructed with their bottom six, I don't even know if they're good enough to win in round one. I seriously don't. And I've said all year, I think their ceiling right now is round two. They need to either take a step up or make a big trade in order to jump into that Eastern Conference Finals, a potential Stanley Cup final expectation. They've regressed, let's be honest. I mean, this hockey team has been marching around playing 500 hockey since Jacob Markstrom got hurt, and it feels like they're just treading water at this point. So they need a big deal to come. They need it not to be March 7th at 2:59 p.m., right at the 3 p.m. deadline. They need it to happen now. And Tom's got to go out there and he's got to figure out what this team, what he wants out of this team. Now, could he wait until the offseason and try to do what he did last year, which is fix the glaring issues that needed to be fixed? Sure. But that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And as somebody who pays for tickets and pays to go and watch this team, I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that approach, because the Devils need to capitalize eventually, right, on this young core that they have between Hughes, Brad, the younger Hughes, Timo Meier, right, another guy that's been, talking about kicking tires. People have been kicking that man ever since he signed his extension. We won't even get into that. That's a whole separate video. But the Devils need to look at Scott Laughton. If the price, and I mean seriously, look into it and potentially make a deal, if it comes without giving up a first-round pick. If it involves giving up a first-round pick, which is what the rumors seem to be right now. That's what they're talking about out there. But if it's not, and they can get him for less, then I think it's certainly the Devils have to at least entertain and potentially pull the trigger on. Right? Like, what are you waiting for? What is this core waiting for, right? Everybody's getting a year older, right? These guys, Haula, Tatar, Lazar, Bastian, Dowling, they're just not providing what is needed. Paul Cotter isn't necessarily putting up tons of points, but I think at least his impact is felt on the game a little bit more than those other guys. So, again, if I am GM Tom Fitzgerald, I am on the phone with the Flyers GM and having a conversation, but two things concern me. Number one, giving up a first-round pick. Number two, I've always felt that if you're a rival of the team trading a player, you are more likely to give up more and pay a premium price than necessarily get a buddy-buddy discount, right? Because you're not buddy-buddy, you're rivals and you hate each other. That's how rivalries work. So my anticipation is, number one, either this is going to cost a first-round pick, or number two, it's going to cost more. I don't see the other side of the coin necessarily for this with the Devils and where they're at and who they're trying to deal with. So if I'm Tom Fitzgerald, I stay away from this one. And Scott Laughton, although he would be a good addition to this team, because guess what? Whether we can go pound for pound, point for point with him and Haula and this, that, and the other thing. At this point, they just need a shakeup. They just need somebody to put the puck in the back of the net. They have to finish. They need somebody who can score. And you're not getting a 60-goal scorer, obviously, on your fourth line or your third line center. But, I mean, come on, man. You can't not score a point since Thanksgiving. I mean, think about all the things you've done in your life since Thanksgiving. And you've done them more than Eric Hall has scored a point in a job that he's supposed to do, right? I mean, not you or me try to score a point. That would be kind of outrageous. But he gets paid to score points for a living, okay? And he hasn't scored one since Thanksgiving. That's not good enough. The Devils have to be active in this market. They have to look for a bottom six center, bottom six player, preferably a center, and they need a winger to go with Jack Hughes. If Tom Fitzgerald is going to wait till the offseason, I have to say, I respectfully and disrespectfully disagree with that assessment. You cannot wait. You cannot continue to wait year after year after year. At some point, you need to swing the big stick, okay? At some point, you're going to have to trade somebody that the fan base is going to be very uncomfortable with getting rid of, okay? And there's a whole lot. I would urge you to go on to Devils Twitter, and maybe I'll provide it in the next video because I'm sure it'll be trade related, about the list of Devils that have no trade clauses, partial no trade clauses, full no movement, stuff like that, all the intricacies of contracts and stuff like that. Because some of these guys ain't going nowhere. So you're talking about, and this is the big one I bring up, the defensive pipeline. Nemitz, Hataka, Casey looks to seem to be finding his groove. But my point is that the Devils you have to trade good players to get good players. That's how it works. Not everybody can fleece everybody. Some guys are going to work out, some aren't. My advice for the Devils, do not trade for Scott Laughton because I believe it'll be either a first-round pick or even more than that, which in my opinion would be way too much for a guy that, while he's good, while he'd be an upgrade for this team, is not worth a first-round pick in my eyes. So the New Jersey Devils are in the spot that they're in because Eric Haula has completely fallen off a cliff. I don't know what happened to 2022, 2023 Eric Haula. Heck, I would even take last year's Eric Haula over what we're seeing right now. What we're seeing right now is just unacceptable, and the lack of production is glaring. It's not even glaring. It screams, okay? It screams, I'm not me. And it's not. That's not Eric Haula, but you know what? What have you done for me lately? Nothing is Eric Haula's answer. Nothing. So the Devils need to go out and make a trade for a winger to pair with Jack Hughes. They need a center that can fit in the bottom six, either a 3 or 4 center. Okay? And that's really what I'm looking for out of this trade deadline. But in my honest opinion, I would not trade for Scott Laughton from Philadelphia. We'll see what rumors cooking up next, who the Devils should trade for. Leave us a comment. Who do you think the Devils should go after? Give us some names. Give us some thoughts. Who you would trade. Is a first-round pick enough for Scott Laughton? Is it too much? Is it too little? Maybe you love Scott Laughton. I don't know. But let us know in the comment section what you think is the best route for the Devils at this trade deadline. And again, I look forward to bringing you more content here on Devils Digest. Always enjoy bringing it. Ryan the Gosiker, your host here. If you want, just before you go, be one of our first subscribers here on the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you listening, watching, whatever you may be doing with this content. I appreciate you, and I look forward to bringing you more and more Devils content as we continue to roll on, and I will catch you next time. Have a great night, everybody.